I call Stephen Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I speak to the Hurunui Kaikōura Earthquakes Emergency Relief Bill. There is a real need for this type of legislation, and it's a very good example of cross-party agreement, albeit clearly a few exceptions. But it was very good for the times that I was on the Select Committee to see how everybody was working together to come to some very good results. I'd like to put my thoughts out to those people, Ngāti Kuri of Kaikōura, but the communities north and south, all the way up into Marlborough, right up into the Blenheim area, even people into the Marlborough Sounds were affected by this to some degree. But the people, when you come back down around Seddon, that have had so many impacts in the past, and Ward the same, really this comes after such a few years when they were hit so hard before. Then this time it's right up through the Clarence, down the Kaikōura coast, the Kaikōura area, and then North Canterbury. The people of Scargill and Waiau, where they had those aftershocks that was so savage and did effectively more trauma than in the original shakes that occurred back on the 14th. This has had massive social and economic impact, and we're just going to have to remain mindful for those communities for a long time to come. Back into the parts of this particular bill, farmer after farmer has been affected with their stock water and domestic water, their fencing, roading and tracking. Just the next day, I actually gave water to a farming family with a large farm, and you'd think they'd have no problems with water. There's a lot of water on their property, but nearly everything was impacted and they had no certainty for their stock or themselves for water at that time. This bill goes a long way to redressing some of that, giving them the opportunity to get in and do some quick remediation to certainly look after their stock. But it is also increasingly, I'm finding, that domestic water supplies in these stations and farms are affected. Some I've just learnt of again today. While the remediation happens, it is unfortunate that we did not get Eugenie Sage's amendment through, because there will become, even though this is time-limited legislation, a recklessness or an opportunism that will come from it by some people who don't actually have the heart to care appropriately for their neighbours, and to have no real legal redress is going to be unfortunate. We are going to be totally reliant on goodwill. There has been goodwill built, as always happens in these emergencies, but whether that will last enough that people will be totally ethical about their behaviour when they have the opportunities that this bill gives them. This affects in particular Ecan, Kaikōura and Marlborough councils. I am hoping that they will, when they're looking at clause 19 and the people that need to be consulted for some of the actions, that they will actually broaden it out and make sure that there is proper opportunity for people to have at least a quick input, because the committee report and then ultimately the legislation shows very, very well what the benefit of even a short-term of submissions and consultation can do, because the changes that were put into this through this little brief bit of submission time have been very, very important to this. It is important in Kaikōura to get this, these harbours corrected, to get the works on the rock and the seabed, to ensure the tenders, that the coastal tourism, such as whale watch, the dolphin watch, seal watch, and others, the fisheries can have proper access out to the sea as they always did. It's good that fish was acknowledged and included in the things that had to be considered in terms of effects. Wider considerations are in there. It is good that the changes to make sure that the comments from those people that will be consulted are considered and reported on. This bill is, as I said, is a very real need for it. I can see the practicalities of it going instantly. The Green Party is pleased to be supporting this bill, and we will be looking ahead to the other legislation that's coming. We're concerned, of course, as we've heard in submissions to this bill, about some of the potential impacts, particularly in the paua, in the marine environment for that one. So we hope that that will be treated very, very cautiously and carefully, but at the same time, let's get those roads open, let's get these farms operating well, and let's make sure that we're looking to the other things that aren't being considered by these bills. I've had people coming to me today, tourism operators, tourists have totally gone, they're scared to go there, yet they could be operating their operation, which is rafting in this case, down the Clarence. And we need to be doing what we can to support those smaller operations to be getting back into gear as well. So it's the roadworks and all of that, but there are other things that we all need to be mindful of, and my heart goes out to those people. The Green Party will support this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable